Hey there, Starseeds! Welcome to Beyond the Cosmic Table. We're a group of friends from different cultures, backgrounds, and beliefs. We gather around our table and initiate honest and open conversations on how energy and frequencies influence what we create around us. By expanding awareness, we're able to journey with practical guidance leading to our highest awareness and conscious living. So, take a seat and join us at our table. We are back to share another past life regression experience. This one gets raw and real as Leigh, Ebby, and Avani dive deep into Leigh's past life regression she had with Avani recently. They take a look at what emotional state Leigh was in before the regressions, 2 of her past lives, and what shifts were made since then. They connect the dots to different parts of her life and show you a bigger picture. So much is unveiled through this process. It's amazing how seeing into other lives can help clear blocks that are holding us back on our path in this lifetime.
All right. Hi, everyone. Leigh and I just recently did a past life regression, and we wanted to share it with everyone. Today, we have Leigh and Ebby on the call, and this is me, Avani. And so I'm going to pass it over to Leigh just to talk about why she came to me for a past life and what the situation looked like before she started.
Thanks, Avani. Well, first of all, it was amazing, and it was 3 sessions. And I would like to say that I've done past life regressions before, but this was unique. And it was very powerful because I've only done the one past life regression. So this was a series of 3 different times, maybe a week or 2 apart. And I wanted to do it. Actually, Ebby was guided to tell me to like look into it. And then I started thinking, there's all these layers that we're all trying to shed. And I thought, well, what am I trying to accomplish here? I'm trying to put things, learn how to put things in the past. And I'm learning what I brought into this lifetime. I wanted to know why, I had this overwhelming feeling a lot in my life where, either I wasn't good enough or I, missed the mark on what I was trying to perform or to learn, or maybe that I've always taken myself, I was intense and I've taken myself so seriously in ways that, I envy people that, or not envy, but I enjoy the qualities of someone that can take themselves less seriously, that has like more of a carefree lifestyle. And I was very frustrated with my career, so frustrated. I've been doing it a long time. I'm ready for a change. I'm excited about what's coming. And, part of me is in the manifesting part of that. It's a matter of making peace with it. So I went to Avani just to help me with some of my past life issues to see if I could feel better and feel lighter and go forth and, continue my journey. So in a nutshell, it was really shockingly moving. Like I felt a big shift. It was powerful, and it was deeply, I felt deeply rooted. Like when I did it, I felt, when you meditate and your eyes and your whole body feels like you're under concrete, like you can't even lift your arm if you tried to. I felt deep into this hypnosis, and it was vivid.
Can you go into some of the past lives that you saw? And what you saw specifically and how it looked like?
Yeah. So the first time around, we went into this place where, and I've never been one of those people that sees things. I'm a channel. So I hear things or I get information, but I've never really been a seer. But at the time that I went, I did see some white beings there. And I went back into one of the lives that we started was when I was in a very small village in Japan. And I've always been drawn to Japan. It's like this whole Reiki thing, and then everything that started in Japan. But I was a medicine man, I believe. I had long hair, I had brown skin. I was like, is this real? I'm in this like mountainous countryside little village where I was I just remember being in the forest looking for berries, looking for herbs because someone was dying. And I felt this horrible sense of urgency. Like I was having a hard time breathing. Like I was out of breath, even though I was hypnotized, but I was sitting there going, this person is dying. I've got to hurry up. And I was looking all over the place for this berry that I couldn't find. I came out of it super frustrated, like I didn't get the job done or something to that effect.
So you actually felt emotions, you saw colors, did you see it as a movie or as if you were that person?
That's a really good question. No, I saw myself running around and I saw bits of my leather jacket, bits of my arm. That's how I knew it was brown, but I didn't look at myself. I couldn't see my face. I just knew I had long hair with my hair, dark hair was up. I could see my feet running through the forest area I was looking for the berry, and I kept seeing bushes, forest, trees, long grass and like on the side of a mountain and this like little village, but I don't think I remember the details of the village.
I have a question because so you're seeing yourself run around and you need these berries, right? You need them, right?
Yeah, or herbs or something.
Okay. And so
I mean, it wasn't like crystal clear, but that's
right, but that's what was impressed on you, or that's what came through, right? So would you say you were a fast runner or a slow runner?
Oh, I was really fast.
Really fast, huh? What
Yeah,
kind
but
of
I
a
was going
runner were
nowhere.
you? Okay, and what kind of runner are you in this? Were you as an athlete in this lifetime?
Oh, good question. I was very fast.
And you took that into several of your practices, right? Your coaching, your healing work, where you were running very fast. At some point, did you feel you were getting nowhere with all this running?
Yeah, like the hamster on the wheel kind of thing.
Exactly.
That was our first session where it was just like a quick initial scene. We did a lot of deep work in this second session where we saw two of her past lives, two different past lives. Can you tell us about your past life in India?
Yeah, that I was a young male in a very small village, and I was barefoot, and I was just sitting there going, I wanted riches. It's all I kept thinking about. And I was young and I was lost and I really didn't have a family. And I was looking for food. And it was like an apathetic thing. It wasn't like I was running in that life. It was more of a wandering kind of thing. I was lost and I was sad. I was just feeling like, how did I get here? I should be doing something else. I kept thinking that I needed more than that, and that, like I was trapped is what I kept feeling. I think that was the word that came up. And I was
That's the
physically
same word you used with me when we
oh,
initially talked about it, right? You felt
trapped,
trapped. You
and
knew
I
there was
was
more out there for you, and you
Mhm.
didn't know where to go to get it.
and I was physically uncomfortable in the past life regression. Like I remember feeling like uncomfortable, like my legs hurt, I was just I was twitchy, I think, during that time.
I did see you moving around and shifting quite a bit. So tell us how that life progressed. That was a very interesting part, and I think it was very important for you in this lifetime.
Yeah, I remember feeling like in the ancient part of like as like say 20, 30 years, 40 years later, I had a family, I was in a council, I was a head person in that council of the village, and I was respected. And I just I had this overwhelming feeling like just because my life didn't start off well and I was lost then doesn't mean that the whole thing's kaput. It was like, I made something out of nothing, and that I found my way to being respected and a person on the council of the village and having a family and having people around me that, enriched my life, I think. From there, I just remember feeling better about myself at the end of my life than I did at the beginning. And I don't know, you're probably going to psychoanalyze that whole thing. But I mean, I, you know, I just remember like feeling desperate at the beginning of that lifetime. And at the end, I felt at ease. Those are the things that I felt. And I was no longer twitching at the end of it.
And you felt desperate when you initially came to me.
Yeah, because I was like at my wit's end. I'm like, you know what? I'm not managing my stress with this whole thing with my job and wanting to manifest a better life and not a better life, but I mean a different career. I wanted more freedom. I wanted to be more, I keep having this priority of what's my soul's purpose here, and am I living that? And if not, what am I waiting for? Like it's a pressing thing for me. And I tend to do things quickly. So, this whole episode of being where I am has it's the longest I've ever done one thing in my life. It's so out of character, out of everything else. My whole rest of my life, I never worked for really anybody else. I did my own thing. So it's just, it's interesting that it's been this long.
That lifetime really reminds me, if you guys have read that book, The Alchemist,
Yeah.
it so resonates with that lifetime of yours.
Oh yeah, I read that book. It was really great. What is my legend, right? That was what he was talking about. What are you here to do? But that was really a fascinating one.
Then you had a second one, right? In England or Scotland,
In
something.
England or Ireland, where I was a 25-year-old woman, and I was so upset that I was a woman. I was so upset that I had to be a woman because they really weren't valued back then. And I was like, God, I mean, they get to do whatever they want. And here I am having to make food for these, lazy guys. And I didn't want to get married. And I don't know. I was just rebellious the whole day. This is not what I want to do. I wanted to write. I wanted to have my own thing. But later on in my life, as we fast forwarded like 20, 30 years, I found my way into writing like a Dear Abby letter or something, where I was having my own writing books or columns or something. I can't recall exactly.
I remember again in the first scene before you started writing, you literally said, I feel stuck and in a monotonous job. I feel weak. I am not expected to be valued. I'm just a helper, not special. I'm not happy. And I think, again, those were very similar traits to kind of what you felt, initially when you started this journey.
Yeah. But at the end of the life, it's true. I found myself giddy and happy and family and kids and, all the things that I had ever wanted, I ended up getting. So, it was really profound for me to come out of that feeling happy and smiling and feeling like everything was going to be okay. And taking the pressure off of myself, like that I didn't miss, I don't know if it's the word of not failing or that everything's going to work out, that there was light at the end of it. Like we talk, Ebby, looking at all, when you have a series of years in a row that you're like, gosh, when is this going to shift?
And here you go. You had 2 back-to-back episodes here where took you 20 to 30 years, but at the end you had family. You had everything you wanted.
Yeah, I had my own business. I was, which was rare back in those days. And, I made something out of a desperate situation. So I left that thinking, if I know that everything's going to be okay and I'm going to get everything, then do I have to be miserable until I get exactly what I want? The answer is no. I need to, what if I didn't take this so seriously? What if I just kind of focused on what I want to do next instead of focusing on, oh, I'm miserable in this moment of whatever, so like it gave me a different take on my everyday duties, if you will.
Leigh, I don't know if you remember this, but one beautiful thing that you said that I think everyone can probably, or a lot of people can resonate with, was you said, why did I spend time worrying when I had this the whole time?
Yeah.
So you had it within you the entire.
Oh my God, how Wizard of Oz.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yes.
I don't remember saying that, but I must have. I was thinking that that's what I needed my whole life to hear, like that, just putting the past in the past and letting myself live, letting go of all of the self-made, I want to say, not feeling trapped, but it's like I put rope around myself. It's like I was the one putting rope around myself more than, thinking my way through it.
There's people out there that fear death. What can you tell them about the death scene and what it feels like to die based on your past life regression?
Oh, that was really fun. I thought it was great because I was in a pyre in one of them and I felt exalted. like the word, and I would never say the word exalted, but that's the word that came out. I was like, wow, look at all these people respecting me and this and that. And I, I started off in this life with nothing, wandering around. And next thing you know, I'm an exalted leader of the community or something like that. And, I guess growing up as an athlete, performance-based and getting recognition was always something that I aspired to have. So it makes sense that that would have felt really good for me in a past life. I never had anything violent or anything that came up. It was always a peaceful, happy time for me to go to the next one. And, because I practice my energy healing and I pretty much do very much believe in reincarnation. I don't consider it's a belief. It's just a fact for me. So I feel like, death is another door into an evolution of yourself as a soul. So for me, it's another clue on what I'm taking out of this life. It's like Ebby, the 9, when you do the numerology, the 9, it's the ending. Like there's a beginning. What did I bring into this life? And then there's the ending. And, I'm in the middle part of that right now. And I'm like, what am I doing with how am I doing and progressing on what I came here to do? Am I doing it? Or am I just taking a side street going, I think I'll watch Netflix for a while and I'll come back or something. But yeah, no, the death thing was not scary at all for me. And this whole thing left me every single time I would get up and Barb would be, or she would say, wow, you look really refreshed. Or I would feel lighter. I would drink a lot of water. I always slept well after. I woke up feeling happy. I felt better about myself. I wasn't as critical. Not that I'm critical, but I was less likely to have a should thought come into my brain, I should this or I should that. So trying to get rid of that word. Or no, not trying. I've gotten rid of it. There. I'm still See, I keep catching myself.
And that's the other good.
Thing, yeah. I mean, the putting the past in the past is a big one. And it made me realize that I take myself and what I'm doing on this speck of the planet that I'm on, not too seriously. And that that putting the past in the past is important, because when you don't do that, it's like you're saying that the best part of my life is over. So I'd rather go relive the best part of my life than think of things ahead that could be even better. So like you limit yourself to what already has been. And that story, you're just replaying it because obviously it's in the past. It doesn't change. And then you're not living in the present. And then, really what it does is it limits how big you can think. Like Jamie was saying last night on our podcast, when people say, if you could have whatever, and people are saying, well, I just hope I get my 3% like raise of my salary, instead of saying, hey, I want to be financially independent and I want to be free to do what I want, when I want, whenever I want. That's big, right? Yeah. So I say to myself, why are you living in the past and why are you kicking yourself for a mistake that you made? Because this is all probably steps in life to get me to evolve and to where I'm supposed to be. And of course, I'm doing it with the best intentions possible.
You know what I find interesting is putting the past in the past has so many variations. Yeah. Because one, it's the successes you had in the past. If that's all you're hanging on to, you're right. You can't focus on your success here today because you're hanging on to the, being the star quarterback in high school. And if you haven't made anything equal to that, you feel like a failure. You feel like you're not productive, right? But also what happens is if you don't acknowledge the pain of the past, not that you need to live there or redo the whole thing, you can clear it. On many levels, you can just clear it. But to acknowledge that you, the person, went through hard times, and it's not the you who is now. How many times do we blame the younger version of ourselves who knew half of what we know now?
Yeah. There's people that you heard or that you wish you could have done something differently, things like that. Absolutely. And, the truth of it is, any of those things, if those were what would make you feel good about yourself, then that would last. Like winning a tournament, you feel good for a week or two, okay, that's nice. But then the next week you have to play again. And if that, it doesn't just carry, you know what I mean? It doesn't sustain you.
No,
Whatever.
but the pattern is to feel good until your next tournament. So if your next tournament in life doesn't show up for 20 more years, you're still
Yeah.
hanging on to that, right? But going back to what drew you to these sessions with Avani, what was your label for success or that you wanted to achieve through it? I know you were frustrated and you came away with a lot, but a lot of people go to someone like Avani to figure out what is going on in how they can find love. Why is it I can't connect with some on a love level? Why is success escaping me? What about my health? So a lot of times, working through those things are so important. But for you, you went when you were frustrated, but that couldn't have been the only reason. I know that you said you wanted to have this, you've been planning on success, and here you are in the middle of it, and you weren't used to having a middle. You're used to going from success to another accomplishment and just keep repeating, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Yeah, now you had to take time for yourself to go through some certain layers, because no matter how, here you were in India, you became successful and respected. Here you were in London, you weren't happy at first, but then you found your way and you were, respected and accomplished. You had your own thing, right? So now, for somebody of today, for other clients that may think to come to someone like Avani, what would be the things that, like, if I went to her for success, well, if I educated myself with the information that's out there everywhere. There's a lot of mentors out there, right? If I shored up my resources financially, the only thing that really would be stopping me is fear. So there must be a level of fear of failure, fear of letting people down, fear of risking finances, right?
Fear of
But I think
success.
the one thing that people overlook, we're so used to a checklist. I think what so many of, I know my clients overlook these two things: unworthiness and undeserving.
Yep.
So when we go looking for all those things, and they're like, if I only had this, if I only had this, there's a lot of uneducated people that are millionaires. There's a lot of people out there who didn't have any resources and they made it.
Yep.
So until we work through that layer, if we have that layer programmed into us of not feeling valued or worthy of the success, how do we get past there, Avani? My question is to you.
Yeah. And, I wanted Leigh's third session was probably one of the most moving sessions I have ever gotten to witness. Because, like you said, all those fears, all those layers that she had been holding on to for so many years, I feel like she released. I mean, it was to the point where I could feel it, during that session, because it was so strong and so
It was, and it was
powerful.
emotional.
It was emotional. So I think that was it. We led up to it. It was like the second one we did the work, and the third one was that release. And like you said, Abby, that's kind of where you stop holding on to those unworthiness fears, those I don't deserve more than what I have right now. And I felt it, Leigh. I felt it with you.
Thank you. I did too. It was amazing. And what drew me there is because I've been doing a lot of work, and I've been knowing, like, you just know when there are certain things that you can't do for yourself. You can't do it for yourself. And I'm in meditation and I'm getting stuck in places, or, how about just my everyday, if I'm going along, and then something happens at work and I'm into orbit already, upset over, if I have some kind of reaction. Of course I catch myself a lot faster now, but the fact that I'm going through that at all means something's not balanced, something I don't feel good about. So I said, I need help where I can't see it. And Avani was able to help me get through these layers. And it was a very emotional foundational. It was like very fundamental for me. Like what I went through was something that I felt like I had been waiting for my whole life. Like I had been waiting for this to come in. And you said something to me, Ebby, that pushed me in this direction. You're like, just because you went through a lot when you were younger or you endured it doesn't mean that you learned from it or that you're over it. Like the same old poltergeist thing. Just, they moved the tombstones, but
they didn't move the bodies.
Right. So, when you said that to me, I was like, huh. Well, that would explain why certain things haven't shown up. You look for clues. Like if things are working in your life, these things are easier. Things are, not every day is easy, but certain things are showing up in your life. And the things that I've been looking for or whatever haven't been showing up. So I know that I have blocks and I still have things I want to work on. So I felt like, well, maybe it's time to unearth some of those things. So that's exactly why I went to see her, and I'm so glad I did.
Tell us about how you're doing today.
Well, today I am doing a lot better. I feel like I'm super excited because I'm focused on my future. So that really helped me I've built another website since we've talked. I've started that other part of a different business. I'm in the process of transferring my other energy website over to changing that a little bit. And with the help of my spirit friends and my family and loved ones, I feel like I'm a lot more balanced than I was. I obviously still have the inner work to do. I still have things that I want to accomplish, but I feel like I'm more focused on my future than I've ever been, thanks to you. And I feel like I'm a lot lighter. I mean, I don't get like crazy over things, and I let myself off the hook, and I feel happier as a result of it.
You brought up a good point, Leigh, about the inner work, right? Because I think people think that they can go to a Reiki person, a numerologist, astrology, or, myself doing hypnotherapy or coaching, and, anyone else. And they think that they're the ones that are going to help them, fix them. And you're right. When you
Fixes the
never,
word.
yes, exactly. But the people also need to realize that you have to continue to do your inner work even after this. It's a layer, but it's not the end all. It's not going to fix you, quote unquote. So you have to continue to do that work.
I mean, you're right, even doing energy work, I've known how to do that. I've been working on it. It's a lifelong journey of work. It doesn't end because you got a certificate, and just because you fix or clear someone today, that clears them so that they can get to the next thing that they need to clear or shed or whatever that is. I'm a lot more receptive to things that I am working towards in my life right now than I ever was before. I wouldn't even have unearthed. I would have never talked about those things because I was moving too fast, as you said, Ebby, to slow down enough to sit in it and say, wow, this is super uncomfortable. I don't really like
it. Exactly. And
I don't think I want to sit here any longer.
Exactly. That's exactly what
I think I'll make it an excuse on something. Hey, I think I'll take another job. So that way I really don't have to think about what I'm doing.
That is exactly right. And how many healers out there, specifically healers, are out there healing others, but not healing themselves?
Oh, it's a perfect phenomenon. And, I work at a cancer hospital, so I can tell you that every person that works there helps their patients a lot more than they help themselves. And I'm guilty of that as well. So I'm reconciling, forgiving myself for that, and working towards what I'm doing every day to heal. So
balance. Balance.
Exactly. And, not the other thing is, what have you learned? I mean, okay, you make mistakes, it's fine, but what am I learning? And making sure that I'm not I'm going down the same road and falling into making the same mistake over and over with, all of my triggers. It's easy for me to overload my schedule.
Right.
It's important for me to take time.
That's one thing I was telling Diane the other day was I love helping others. But one thing that really resonates me with is healing the healer. because if I can just be a small blip in any healer's journey so that they can go out and be the best version of themselves and help other people, it just helps, it's that domino effect. And I've really started to realize how much, I love doing that type of work as well.
And you're great at it.
Yes.
And since I've worked with Avani, my healing, I worked with Rose, I've worked with Avani, I'm working with Diane. I've had other clients. It's been phenomenal doing the distant healing that I've been doing. And I think a lot of that has to do with her helping me to become a better channel,
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all it is, but she's helped me get out of my own way, and I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you for trusting me. I mean, it was so profound, and I really enjoyed the journey with you.
I was so shocked, actually. I really enjoyed it. I was so shocked at how much it made a difference, because when you do this work and you're a light worker, you're like, okay, when people come in and they've never done it, okay, you see them have something for the first time and it's a big shock for them. But for me, I was like really rooted in this whole thing, and I felt like a big shift that day, and I was crying, I was emotional, and it was a cleansing cry. It was a really good cleansing day. And then since then, things are on the uptick. I feel lighter, I feel happier, and I feel proud of myself for taking the step, because you have to have some courage to do that, and
you're right. You have to have courage, and you have to not bury it and say, no, I already took care of that. I don't need to revisit it. I'm good. It doesn't bother me. I don't need to change. It's there. Yeah, and another thing is, you brought up focus. And as an athlete, we discussed how when you tell an athlete or somebody who has a very laser beam focus to start with, that can be exhausting, because you guys don't really have an off button. You guys are overly focused.
I mean, that's how I was trained growing up. Focus.
Right. So that's something to keep in mind.
In and out, it wasn't all the time, because it was when I hit my shot and then I come out. But I was also trained to have a very short memory. You forget what happened and move on, which emotionally, that stuff what happened and move on and not deal with it. So, it's not just an if, but a when that it catches up for you. So this was a long time coming. Yeah. So I felt like it was a great clearing. So
now you know why you were sitting in it.
Yeah, exactly. But I really enjoyed it. And, it is work. It's not easy to go through that, at some point. It feels uncomfortable. It feels a little like the second session was difficult for me. I was like, you know what? That was a lot harder than I anticipated. And that's good, because if it feels easy, then you're not really changing anything, so, but it wasn't too difficult that I didn't want to do the next one. And I was excited about the next one. And it was great. I thought that you had a week in between them. So it gave me a moment to kind of see how it felt, to acclimate, to kind of calibrate. It was good. Yeah. I loved it.
That's great, Avani.
You guys, this was a great discussion. Thanks for being so openly. And Ebby, your questions are always great and profound and make us think in so many different ways.
Absolutely. I don't know what I'd do without both of you. Thank you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We hope sharing Leigh's journey into those other lives and how connecting the dots helped her inspires you to look into your past lives. You never know what residual energy may be impacting you today. If you're interested in learning more about past life regression, how it works, and would like to consider a session, visit Avani's website at eternalalchemist.com. Complete the brief intake form, and a free consultation can be scheduled to see if it's the right fit for you. Mention this podcast at the time of purchase and receive $10 off your package. As always, we appreciate you and love having you listen in as we share all about our spiritual and metaphysical experiences. Thanks for tuning in, and see you back at the table next week.